Prayer. Allah, Father universe.
Allah, Father universe.
Father love.
Father love.
Truth. Peace. Freedom. And justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night. And by day.
And by day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy prophet.
Through Ali.
Through Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Please remain standing for the more honors. First, I give praise to Allah.
First, I give praise to Allah,
the great God of the universe.
the great God of the universe.
I give honor to Prophet Noble Ali,
I give honor to Prophet Noble Ali,
the last prophet in these days.
the last prophet in these days.
I give honor to all true and divine prophets of Allah.
I give honor to all true and divine prophets of Allah, Jesus,
Muhammad,
Buddha,
Confucius, etc.
etc.
I give honor to Marcus Garvey,
I give honor to Prophet Garvey,
forerunner Prophet Noble Ali.
forerunner of Prophet Noble Ali.
I give honor to the American flag,
I give honor to the American flag,
the flag of our birth,
the flag of our birth,
and to the Moorish flag,
and to the Moorish flag,
our decent flag,
our decent flag,
the red flag,
the red flag,
the five-pointed green star in the center,
with the five-pointed green star in the center,
representing the divine principle,
representing the divine principle
love, peace, freedom, and justice.
of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
I give honor to our divine charter.
I give honor to our divine charter.
It gives us the divine and legal right
It gives us divine and legal right
to practice and promote our religion
to practice and promote our religion
unmolested.
unmolested.
I give honor to all past leaders of the Moorish Science Temple of America Incorporated.
I give honor to all past leaders of the Moorish Science,
Incorporated. Brother C. Kirkman Bay,
Brother C. Kirkman Bay,
Brother F. Nelson Bay,
Brother F. Nelson Bay,
and Brother J. Blakely Bay.
and Brother J. Blakely
I
Bay.
give honor to Brother R. Loville,
I give honor to Brother R. Loville,
past Grand Chief
past Grand Chief,
and moderator.
and moderator.
I give honor to Brother R. Jones Bay,
I give honor to Brother R. Jones Bay,
our present Grand Chief,
our present Grand Chief,
who is the moderator
who is the moderator
of the Moorish Science Temple of America Incorporated.
of the Moorish Science Temple of America Incorporated.
Give honor to Brother P.J. Seal,
I give honor to Brother P.J. Seal,
the Assistant Grand Chief
the Assistant Grand Chief
of the Moorish Science Temple of America,
of the Moorish Science Temple of America,
and also is the Grand Chief of Temple 71.
and also the Grand Chief of Temple 71.
Give honor to all national, state, and local officials
I give honor to all national, state, and local officials
in their office and station.
in their office and station.
Give honor to the Grand Governor of the District of Columbia,
I give honor to the Grand Governor of the District of Columbia,
Brother H. Harris Bay,
Brother H. Harris Bay,
and to his past assistant,
and to his past assistant,
Brother T. Gatefield.
Brother T. Gatefield.
Give honor to all divine ministers,
I give honor to all divine ministers,
sheiks and sheikhs,
chiefs and chiefs,
all members,
all members,
and everything that the prophet brought
and everything the prophet brought
and taught
and taught
for the uplifting of all humanity.
for the uplifting of all humanity.
I give honor to our Moorish media.
I give honor to our Moorish media.
I give honor to all wayfarers,
I give honor to all wayfarers,
sympathizers,
sympathizers,
well wishers,
well-wishers,
and seekers after truth.
and seekers after truth.
I give honor to Sister T. Father Bay,
I give honor to Sister T. Clara Bay,
our former financial secretary
our former financial secretary
of the Moorish Science Temple of America,
of the Moorish Science Temple of America,
who is also the financial secretary here at Temple 71.
who is also the financial secretary here at Temple 71.
I give honor to all of those who are in our earshot
I give honor to all those in our earshot
and in our
and in our viewing.
peace.
Peace.
I'll now read from Salvation, Our God, Unity. The Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaw. Act 1. The Grand Sheik and the Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce law with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs. If he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly, according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, And on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being in Moorish America, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Jew Ali the Prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of all humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet Noble Jew Ali through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Noble Jew Ali found Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Jew Ali. Amen. The Moorish Science Temple of America, Home Office, 2905 5th Street, Southeast, Washington, D.C., 20032. Thus we had a reading from all 7 acts of the Divine Constitution and bylaws. We'll now have the reading from questionnaire and additional laws for the Moorish Americans by the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. Act 1. Grand Sheiks and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Jew Ali before acting upon by any member, that it be finance, property, or any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice finance, etc., that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under heavy restriction, etc., by the Prophet or the Grand Sheikh. Act 2. All members are to attend their adab meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second he will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If the member is working, his monthly dues must be paid. And if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3. It is lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving the nation. And if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch him. Let it be he or she, according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4. All members, while making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5. All members must promptly attend their meeting and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire, and let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guidance of the nation. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali the prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meeting and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple. Members must pay their dues and keep an eye on all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple. Then you are entitled to the name of faith. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Thus we had a reading from all 7 acts, Islam people. The Moorish Science Temple of the, thus we've had a reading from questionnaire and additional laws for the Moorish Americans by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. We'll now have a reading from the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, divinely prepared by the noble prophet Drew Ali, by the guidance of his father God Allah. I read from the divine instruction from the Holy Prophet, page 7, chapter 3. There are 2 selves, the higher and lower self. Peace. Thus we've had a reading from the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Our Sunday school is officially open. I'd like to welcome you all out to our Sunday school, where we come to get our nourishment. And I pray it is my sincere wish that we get something today that will help make our way that much fair on the earth, and that we may take it and help someone else. At this time, I'll call our Grand Sheik and moderator of the Moorish Science Temple of America Incorporated, Brother Man and Friend, Brother R. Jones Bay. It's on my sister. And Islam to all those who just came in.
Islam.
Let's say prayer. Allah, the universe, God of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah, my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, throughout me. Amen.
Who made it?
Allah.
Who is Allah?
Allah is the Father of the universe.
Can we see him?
No.
Where's the nearest place we can meet?
In the heart.
Who is Noble Jew Ali?
He is Allah's prophet.
What is a prophet?
The prophet is called Allah manifested in flesh.
What is the duty of a prophet?
Save nations from the wrath of Allah.
Who is the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America?
Noble Jew Ali.
What year was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded?
1913 AD.
Where?
Newark, New Jersey.
Where was Noble Jew Ali born?
In the state of North Carolina, 1886.
What is his nationality?
Moorish
What
American.
is your nationality?
Moorish American.
Why are we Moorish American?
Because we are descendants of Americans and born in America.
For what purpose was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded?
For the uplifting of fallen man.
How did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish America?
By teaching them to hear himself.
What is our religion?
Islamism.
Is that a new or is that the old time religion?
Old time religion.
What kind of a flag is the Moorish?
It is a red flag with a 5-pointed green star on the center.
What do the 5 points represent?
Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
How old is our flag?
It is over 10,000 years old.
Which is our holy day?
Friday.
Why?
Because Friday is the day in which man was born with flesh. And it was on Friday when he became Allah.
Who was Jesus?
Who was the prophet of Allah.
Where was he born?
In Bethlehem, Judah, and the house of David.
Who were his father and mother?
Joseph and
When
Mary.
you give in brief the line of genealogy through which Jesus came,
Some of the great fathers through which Jesus came are Abraham, Joab, Jesse, King David, Solomon, Hezekiah, and Joseph of Mary.
why did Allah send Jesus to this earth?
Save Israelites from the iron hand oppression, false translations of Europe, government portion Palestine and Gaza.
How long has that been?
About 2,000 years ago.
What was the nationality?
Ruth was a Moabite,
What is the modern name for Moab?
Moroccan,
Where is the Moroccan Empire?
Northwest America,
What is the modern name for Mexico?
Africa,
What is the title given to our ruler in Morocco?
Sultan,
Where do we get the name Jesus?
from the east.
What does the name Jesus mean?
Jesus means justice.
Did the angel give to the child that was called Jesus a holy name?
Yes, but it cannot be used by those who slave.
What is an angel?
The angel the thought of Allah manifesting in human flesh.
What are angels used?
Bearing messages before corners of the world to all nations.
What is our prophet?
He is an angel of Allah sent to
What is the everlasting gospel?
It is the saving power that comes from Allah.
What is the covenant of the great God?
Honor thy father and thy mother, that days may be long upon the earth, and which the Lord thy God Allah hath given thee.
At what age did Jesus begin to teach?
At the age of 12,
Where did he teach?
India, Africa, and Europe,
How long did he teach?
18 years.
What did Jesus say that would make you free?
Truth.
What is truth?
Truth is all.
What is all?
All is allowed.
Can truth change?
Truth cannot change or pass away.
What other name do we give to truth?
Holy word.
What have you to say about holy bread?
All we can say it is great, it is good, it was, it is, and ever more to be. Amen.
At what place on earth was the physical part of man formed?
In the Garden of Eden,
Where is the Garden of Eden?
in the land of Canaan and the city of Mecca.
What is the modern name for the Garden of Eden?
Mecca.
What is the lesson pertaining to truth? What is one of the lessons pertaining to truth? What is one of the lessons that has been taught pertaining to truth? Changes not. It changes not. That's the good one. What else?
Truth is all, and all is right.
That's good. What else?
In all the world, there's two things.
Okay, one is.
One is truth, the other is false.
Okay, what else? Oh, surely you're not going to stop there.
Yeah, the high stuff, the low stuff.
We can find truth in that. Yes.
Spirit of knowledge and understanding. Right.
That's a good. What about truth has a reverse? How you gonna leave that out? All you gonna say is truth and not understand what the truth is. It has a reverse. That's the truth. You're focusing on one thing. Man is truth. That is the truth. But the other truth is man has two selves. And falsehood is truth. What? Reverse. So how can you speak about truth without speaking about falsehood? The lesson is good about truth, because that's a fact. Yeah. But let's be complete. Truth has a manifestation. The manifest is what? What is the manifestation of truth?
falsehood.
Yeah.
You gotta remember that.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you'll focus on one thing. When it's really, it has a reflection. And we don't want to be focusing so much on the one thing that we caught up in the other. Because you know you can get easily caught up in the other. Because the other looks like you too. How can you tell the difference? You should be able to get
What they breathe. What they breathe.
what they breathe. What they breathe. One breathes this, the other breathes that. What is that? What is that is breathing? The illusion.
Yeah.
And what's the illusion? That which what? Seems to be. You have to be able to tell what seems to be from what is. Now, how can you do that if you've been trusting on these?
Mm-hmm.
Because what does these do? It what?
It carries a illusion.
It does. It only allows you to see the reflex. You see the reflexes with the physical eye. And when you see the reflex, whatever you see, you must keep in mind that what? What? It'll change. It'll pass away. Because the truth does not what? Change. So you have to make sure that this is going on here when you are confronted with your challenges in life and when you are confronted with the manifestation. Because if you don't, you can easily yield to that which seems to be. And your thinking will be based on what you think it is. Now just suppose you don't know what that is. Just suppose I'm caught up in what I think I see. Your judgments will be based on an illusion. Your response will be based on the illusion. So how can you make a correct judgment if you don't even know that what you're focused on is not real? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Come on, man. Okay. Now, no. Did you have that? Whose hand I see? Come on, Jack. Come on, Jack.
I heard that you somewhat condemning the falsehood, but you know, we all come through the falsehood.
Man, where do you get what you say?
I'm
just curious.
The reason why I say you
Wait a minute,
condemn,
hold on. Where does that come from? Where does that come from?
because it comes from the inside of me, but I was false.
We all are false, Mo.
We all was false.
Mo, we all are false. We are. We're not. We haven't finished being false yet.
No, we coming out of it, Mo. It's the reason why.
But are we coming out of it?
Well,
Are you coming out of it?
I know I am.
Okay. All right. Now this you must keep in mind. I was thinking about this on the way here. Because you know, one must always project patience. One must always be tolerant. And the prophet teaches us in the book to do what? Hear with patience and pertinence and pity of certainty. And if we did not have manifestations, how would we do that? How would we learn how to do that if someone did not play that role? So remember, what we see is role playing for the purpose of teaching us lessons that are divine. You must be able to associate your divine lessons with your experiences in life. So it manifests so that we can see it. And then we go back to the book to find out the proper way of dealing with it.
Yes.
Divine, that's right. Come on, Mom.
It's instruction, and it's good that you came back and talked about the manifestation, because we just stated that man is forward to it.
Yeah.
But we want to make sure that everybody's clear that the manifestation is forward to it.
Yes. Yes.
The manifestation
Yes.
of man here on earth is
Yes.
forward to it.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So we're learning
Yes.
to understand that this manifestation
Yes.
again.
Yes.
The
Yes.
man is spirit.
Yes. Yes.
And so
That's
that
right.
part of us, that spirit,
Yes.
is that part of our everything.
Yes.
And that's correct.
Yes. Yes. That's right.
He said truth is false and has no cause.
That's right.
But yet it is the manifest of right.
That's right.
So we want to make sure, and you just said, we're here to learn those differentiations of the manifestation, as he was referring to these sentinels that watch for us.
Yes.
They're not able to distinguish truth from error.
Yes.
So when we look into the face of man, you say you're looking at the image
That's right.
of him who was within.
Yeah.
That might not be the direct quote, but
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
making is,
Yeah.
you're looking for beyond the falsehood. We have to see beyond the falsehood.
Yes. Yes.
And that's part of our gaining understanding of stuff.
Here, look,
Mm.
you must be able to go beyond the reflex.
That's what I'm talking about, huh?
Because this is a reflex.
Yeah.
This manifested body is a reflex. We must learn to go beyond the reflex to the spirit that dwells within. We can't let the manifestation of a reflex lead us into believing that's the man.
Yeah.
Because it's not. It is the reflex. Once we can not judge based on what is reflected, then we can find ourselves becoming closer to identifying the Allah in man. And we'll stop judging. So anyway, we say that one of the lessons of truth is that truth and falsehood are conjoined. And then what do? They strive, meaning in their striving they do what? They wrestle, they struggle. And it's the will of man that makes what? Possible your ability to overcome it.
There you go. There you
Your ability to overcome the falsehood is solely based on your will. And what makes it possible, what makes it possible, what makes it possible, the action of the Holy Breath. What makes the Holy Breath possible? The will of man makes possible. The action, the movement of the Holy Breath. Where? In you. You call the Spirit forth. And when your will is in tune with Allah's will, what happens? The resurrection is a fact. The resurrection, the man himself, the truth. But you must will it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not enough just to say, I will do it. You must will it. Question is, sometimes we say, I will do it. We don't do it. So is that really knowing how to will to do it?
No.
So how can you do it? Come on.
Because that will is directed by the breath. And he's talking about putting our will in tune with the Creator's will.
Yes. Yes.
That means we are practicing the higher stuff.
Yes. Yes.
We are bringing ourselves to a level or a point of understanding that Allah is all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't take place without it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we must come in tune with it. We must submit.
You must submit. Submit to a still small voice that you may not even trust. We've heard the small voice tell us not to do things before, and we did it anyway. So that means there's another element that must come. We must learn to trust. Why is it necessary to learn to trust? Why do we have to learn to trust the still small voice that's Allah speaking to us? Why do I have to learn to trust Allah?
Yeah.
Come on, sis.
Well, I have to learn to trust it so that I can overcome the fear.
Oh, the fear you have. No question. No question. No question. Learning to trust, is that overcoming the fear?
Yeah.
Can we overcome the doubt once we address our fear? See, you just don't wake up one morning and say, I'm going to do what Allah say do. And all of a sudden you think you're going to do it. You got to, look, when that voice tell you don't go across the street, don't get caught up in that. Don't do that. You got to learn to trust. Because if you don't, you're going to doubt. Once you begin to doubt, what do? Not only do you lose faith, but what do? You start to make the calls based on what you think perhaps is true. Not relying on the voice. I'm relying on what I'm being told to do from me. But if it's me that's telling me not to obey the voice, who's telling me? The Lord self, who's now doing what? Making its words and what? The semblance of truth. You got to know when that Lord self starts talking to you, start prompting you. You got to know.
That's right.
Because if you don't know, you can make a choice that can cause you. Yeah.
Yeah, I found out that.
Go ahead.
I was thinking about the word determination.
Okay.
Because to be able to will yourself to do something, you have to make up your mind that you really want to do it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about what he talks about firmness of mind.
Yeah.
So we got to be willing, and in that challenge, there's a lot of things we have to fight against ourselves to be able to come to that point.
Yeah.
So that's just something I think.
Those things that we are up against today are the spirit is telling me that it seems like I open the doors to my Lord self when I step out my house more. So it's telling me that the world itself is not mine. It's not mine to give. My world is here, Mo. This is my world. So when I come out of this world right here, not following the prophet, I'm going into the world. And the world is of what? The world is a falsehood. So I got to stay within this world more. Or not to prevail. To be the man that prophet want me to be. I got to stay in this world. These are the circumstances of the world. That falseness is the world. We got to come out of that. Do not be of the world.
Thank you up.
Come on.
I was thinking,
Gotta speak up here.
that if we trust in Allah,
Yeah.
that Allah is truth,
Okay.
and truth changes.
Okay. But as we learn to trust Allah, then we have to be able to identify that those truths of the world that we have been taught and that we have accepted.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we've accepted falsehood as truth.
Illusion.
Some of us have based our lives on false teaching.
That's right. Right.
We're talking about trying to now make an adjustment in what? Our thought pattern.
Exactly.
Come on, brother.
Yeah, so to be able to distinguish truth from falsehood, that could be a problem,
It can.
because we want to know what the truth is. But sometimes in our decision,
Why do you think sometimes in our decisions we are not able to distinguish the one from the other? Come on.
Because we're gonna rely on what we see. And what we see, what we have been seeing for many years in our lives, we have to accept it as being real.
That's
It's
right.
an adjustment that we have to make because we've heard in the more times to America, the things we see with this human eye, the reflex. But I can speak for me, they have been real. And now I got to make the adjustment to say it is not real. But even though I say this, in me, am I saying?
Yes. Are you saying that outwardly?
Outwardly or
Inwardly.
Inwardly. Because I can be saying it outwardly
That's right.
and inwardly, I'm still.
You're not making no adjustment.
Not making no adjustment.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Come on, Lord.
And, from what I heard, add to what he's saying, is, you can hear that voice of truth also, which one is different, I think, within, with being within, because I've dealt with certain situations where, I heard that voice said, don't go there, go here. So I believe the one that said, don't go here, is the truth. Because it's that small voice that you hear.
This is Britt Baker Mostly.
I'm gonna say for myself, when I'm not unable to distinguish truth from error. I don't know if it's that I'm unable. I want to say that looking back on myself, it's me not really wanting to distinguish the truth from error. I know the truth, but I'm so gung ho on doing the error for real. And I might go ahead and do that because it's just that strong.
Yes,
Know what to do. I know the right thing to do.
yes,
But I don't want to do that right now.
yes,
Thinking I got the chance to do, this one more time.
yes, come on.
So,
That's good.
Come on, Smith.
What I'm saying was, we get the still small voice.
Right,
And then we hear ourselves.
right.
So, then we become indecisive. Next thing you know, we don't do nothing.
Come on.
This is Campbell back with her say on systematically we've been conditioned to think like this. It comes out of habitual thought that even though we know it's wrong, we still, or we can't distinguish one from the other. We still go with it because this is the popular thought I have. This is my core belief that this is the way I should be thinking because looking outside of myself and not thinking for myself as the proper teachers think for ourselves. Everybody else is going that way.
this time, I was kind of thinking what Mama Neal was talking about belief, right? And I catch myself, when I don't move on something, when I know it's right, then I remind myself I'm still in the stages of belief, and I don't fool myself thinking my faith is strong, but then I recognize, no, it's not, because I'm second guessing on something that I know is right, and then I got to pop myself upside back of my head and say, it's right, go ahead on. But for me to question myself, that's that doubt in there, and that's the practice I got to keep practicing.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to think of the same, along the same lines that Leo was saying. I think about I have a lot of experiences where that fear stops me from doing what Allah is telling me to do. He's clearly, the voice is clear to do it. But I was thinking when she was talking that sometimes I don't do it because of fear. I know what will happen or what the outcome is if I don't do it because I've had a lot of experience with that. But I don't know what the outcome will be I go ahead and do it, and I lost it. So it's still, like she said, it's still kind of in that belief area. Your heart is telling you, do it. Trust the Lord, He's gonna make it all right. But sometimes you feel like you have so little experience of that. You know, I think as how you and other ministers have said sometimes, you know, you see that it works, and then you get a little more courage and you do it again. And sometimes you don't have those experiences to kind of be your backup to say, oh, I got to do that. It was okay. This is a new experience. I don't know about this one, but I know how it would turn out if I don't. So I don't do anything because I know how that would turn out, and I don't like the way it turned out. But I still haven't got enough courage to overcome that fear and that doubt to go ahead and say, you know what's the worst thing that can happen? Allah can help me to be all right. But the fear often stops me from thinking clearly like that. It's bigger. It's bigger than the faith is at that moment.
I got hard thing for Jason.
You know, one thing that comes to mind is, holy instruction from the Father, specificity of knowledge.
Yeah.
Divine instruction 15 lets us know, if thou wilt mount unto her throne, first bow thyself at her footstool. If thou wilt arrive at the knowledge of her, first inform thyself of thy own gate.
Yeah.
And one of the things that comes to mind when I think about that is, we have to be honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
That we are still in a work in progress when it comes to this.
Yeah.
Because see, vanity will make us think we are able to distinguish truth from falsehood.
Yeah.
And we'll create an atmosphere in our mind that I can see the truth. I know where the truth is.
Yeah.
But we gotta stay humble and know that this thing is much larger than what we may be thinking at this time because of where we are along the way.
Yeah.
So as long as we stay humble and stay open and remind ourselves, I don't know everything about this, but I'm learning about this and continue to strive to be open. He may reveal more to you instead of we talking about, I do know this, I know how to see behind the limit of the pole. No, you still looking at the pole, but you have told yourself you can see behind it. Beyond.
Yeah.
And one other thing too, and I'm gonna let it go, Bobby. Why we need to trust in Allah? He's our protector and our guide.
Yeah.
And he's the key to our salvation.
Yeah.
So we have to learn.
Yeah.
Because if not, we're gonna listen to that other self,
Yeah.
and it will be guided.
For Jason.
It's fine. Yeah, a lot of things are said that's good, and you know, and as far about, you know, development and unfolding,
Yeah.
I think one of the things that really jumps out at me is man's carnal application to God. That's really why they don't do things. But he still, as the Lord would say, we still desire it.
Yeah. That's right.
And when there's the time to make that choice, and I think Sister Britt May talked about it here enough, this is the one I want. And even as what the secretary said, and we got to keep this part in mind too, but he's giving us this message. He said the one is good to eat. So when we say we ain't gonna do it, we are doing the other thing. Because if you ain't doing the good, it ain't but cute.
That's right.
So we in that other one. It's just the degree of which we let it put us in.
That's right.
But you know, the desire, because our Lord said was strong, and He gonna feed that appetite you got.
Yeah.
Even if it's something simple as what you gonna eat today.
Yeah.
When you know that your blood pressure get ready to go, you keep that.
That's right.
That's good. I like that great good.
That's right.
If you know that, I can do a little bit. If you know that,
That's right.
But the point is, you make it like when you feel. Those are the simple things that slow self will work you over with. From gaining strength over them.
That's right.
So when you can say, no, I'm not going to take a deep gap, that's a victory over stuff.
That's right.
So that's what we're trying to do, gain strength. It's all about gaining strength right now.
That's right.
That's what this is all about.
That's
It's
right.
not that we can't go, we got to get the strength to not do.
That's have to follow how I say do. That's right. You know, but what else do you think that we do to give ourselves support when we want to do what we want to do and not follow support? Right? What do we do?
We tell ourselves it's not that bad, so we get a chance tomorrow to straighten it out. Oh, man is truth and falsehood strange to me.
What we have learned by way of their teaching is to make excuses. See, we have learned to make excuses, and that gives us the support to do what we want. And see, we gotta stop making excuses. There ain't no excuse. Excuse is the middle ground. It ain't but two things. An excuse is something that we make. We make excuses, meaning that now you have put something else into the two. You see, you create excuses. Man is creative. So if I want to do what I want to do, but I know I shouldn't do it, well, I can have, well, this is why I'm doing it. So what have I done? I've created an avenue not to do what I'm supposed to do and to be all right with it. Because I got to feel all right that I'm getting ready to make a choice. And I know it ain't right, but I got to do something. I have to do something to help me to do this without that conscience coming in. I got to make an excuse. Well, if it hadn't been for this, I would not have done it. We got to be careful. That's their teaching.
Yeah.
That's not our teaching. We're not excuse makers. We learn to be excuse makers. And that's one of the things that we have to watch out for.
Yeah.
As we're trying to make a mental transition into a whole different way.
It's not, and I was thinking about it, we so clever, we use those excuses to justify on someone else or something else.
Sure.
We don't, it's not, excuse on me.
Sure.
So-and-so made me do it, or so-and-so said, I gotta do this for so-and-so.
Sure.
Stuff. That's how devious for self-thinking.
Sure.
Take the blame off of self.
Sure.
Put it on somebody else.
Sure.
Justify we do this okay.
Sure. Look, the Lord self-shows true that he can take a divine instruction and use it as an excuse. Yeah. Yeah. We do what we want to do and we know it's not right, and then we can use this excuse by saying, the prophet said, man is truth and falsehood strange.
That's right.
So that's what we have to watch out for. See, he can take divine instruction and twist it into a way that we use it to do what we want to do. That's not right.
That's
That's
right.
right. Come on, Papa.
The prophet knew we was gonna make excuses. He knew that. That's why he said he took away all this.
That's what he said.
But he knew it.
He knew it, Mama.
Yeah.
That's right. He did say that. According to the record. He said that he's taking away all the excuses. But that's a blessing because there are no excuses. We make excuses. Yeah. He didn't bring no excuse. Exactly. Now, while you are learning to think in this way, I'm glad to see it.
Yeah.
I really am here.
Yeah.
I'm really glad to see how Allah is taking you and helping you to think in a certain current, which enables you to see inside. And he's allowing you to be able to articulate what you see inside. Sometimes it takes place in a way, sometimes we don't always acknowledge.
Right.
But you need to really sit down and think about how you're thinking or how you are beginning to think.
Come on.
Then you can acknowledge and accept it's working.
Yeah.
Come on.
So I always think this lying to myself.
Yeah.
I would lie, that's what we lie, we'll tell our women, like you said, we've been programmed, lie to ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's something I try, be honest with me, when I'm wrong, say I'm wrong, whatever. I don't want to admit to myself, about what's really going on. Brother heard the pray said, be honest with yourself. That's what I'm going to right. Stop lying, don't lie to yourself.
You know, one thought come to mind, dear reader. not falsely use these lessons. And sometimes we think, once upon a time, I used to look at it like falsely use these lessons is misleading someone else.
Right.
But do not falsely use the lesson. It can directly go back to you because you will create an understanding of what he meant to justify your behavior or to try to find a way to say, that's why I did this or did that. One of the things I think about it, it takes finance to uplift the nation.
Yeah.
People use that
Yeah.
to justify certain behavior.
Yeah.
That's falsely using these lessons.
Yeah.
So I assume you mean when you say we gotta be careful.
Yeah, well, look, you could take that and justify an activity or an action, making money that's inappropriate. You say, the temple needs finance, so I'm gonna take through this,
That's right.
get some money.
That's right.
But that's just simply a way of justifying what you're doing. Because if you ever notice, most of the people that say that, they may give a little money at one time, maybe even two, but eventually it stops coming.
Right.
And then I learned this. I read where it said, the person who gets ill-gotten funds is cursed. And he who accepts those funds are cursed. Sometimes you don't know the magnitude of what's being done.
That's right.
When you fool yourself into believing it's all right. That's just something to think about. Come on.
It's profit for me to hold myself accountable.
Yeah.
Because in the past, I wanted to hold everybody else accountable. So when it came to myself, I looked for out.
Yes.
But learning these teachers, he told me to hold myself accountable.
Yes. 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 Let's go to the Holy Quran. Okay. Now we're still talking about the friendship of Jesus and Lamar. And we've learned that Jesus explained to Lamar the meaning of truth. And in this truth that he was explaining, we find out there's a number of lessons that Lamar and Jesus taught. But they all are connected. They all are connected with the meaning of truth. So it says, among the priests of Jacobite was one who loved the Jewish boy. Lamar's promise was the name by which the priest was known. One day, as Jesus and Lamar walked alone in Plaza Jacobite, Lamar said, "My Jewish master, what is truth?" And Jesus said, "Truth is the only thing that changes not. In all the world, there are two things. The one is truth, the other is falsehood, and falsehood that would seem to be. Now, truth is oft and has no cause, and yet it is the cause of everything. Falsehood is not, and yet it is the manifest of right. Whatever has been made will be unmade. That which begins must end. All things that can be seen by human eyes are manifested for, are not, and so must pass away. The things we see are but reflexes, just appearing, while the ethers vibrate so and so. And when conditions change, they disappear. The holy breath is truth, is that which was and is and evermore shall be. It cannot change nor pass away. The Mara said, "You answer well. Now what is man?" And Jesus said, "Man is the truth and falsehood strangely mixed. Man is the breath made flesh. So truth and falsehood are conjoined in him. And then they strive. And naught goes down. And man is truthfied." What does that tell you about God?
Goes down.
Yes, it goes down, but what else does it tell you? It's an illusion. What else does it tell you?
Also,
It is falsehood. What else does it tell
It
you?
has a beginning.
It had a beginning.
It has an end.
And it has an end. When did falsehood begin?
Man, when I
When you? Yeah.
started to make
Yes.
me
Yes,
things that those,
yes,
Mm.
that
yes,
all those have to get.
yes. It begins from the truth.
That's right.
When you think other than the truth, that's the beginning.
Come on.
That's when man lost his lordship. When he thought that it was something other than the one.
Yeah.
Once I saw that it was something other than the one, when I saw something else, once that came and the illusion was able to mesmerize me and I was able to think about what that was, remember, it was an illusion. Now I started to think about the illusion. I'm thinking about other than the one. And once I started thinking about other than the one, now I'm not seeing the one. I'm seeing the other. And that's when you trade yourself away. That's when we start to lose our best state. Remember, what did the angels do? They held themselves in what? Harmony. They didn't see other than the one. All they focused on was the one. I ain't trying to get that with y'all. Y'all go ahead. I'm staying here. I don't want to see nothing but the one. I don't want to see nothing else. That's what we're trying to get back to. The oneness of Allah. Once we return back to the oneness, we understand all things are what?
Wow.
There's nothing else other than the one. As long as we see other than the one, we're still in conflict with ourselves. It hasn't gone down. It can't go down. See, once it goes down, man is truthfied. You see one?
That's right. Yeah.
We're trying to get back to the one. All this that we're going through here on this plane of things made manifest is to help us to get back to the one. Come on, man.
No, I was thinking too, like a man took on his dog,
Yes.
that's all again.
Well, remember, it was his desire
That's right.
to live, to see what's going on.
All creative education to advance by the
But then you have to ask yourself, we can't go so far. Who is creative? Come on.
It's fine. Okay. And the other thing, the lesson that you just made reference to with the angel.
Yeah.
And this, for me, we pretty much got really see.
Yeah.
One of the things that the angels is teaching us in that lesson that we are learning by being here,
Yeah.
is how to hold.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, the only way we're going to get back as faith, we got to learn how to hold.
Yeah.
Yeah. The angels help. The angels help.
That's right.
We're being taught now how to hold.
That's right. That's right.
So that's the only way we're going to be at one with him.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So that just came to, as you was talking about the angels, you know, yeah, that's a lot of that's because that's what got us here.
Right.
We didn't hold.
We didn't hold. And that's why, remember the saying that we say, learn to hold the thought?
Yeah.
You gotta learn to hold the thought.
And that's more than the saying,
That's
man.
more than the saying.
That's the truth of the matter.
That's
Yeah.
right. Come on.
And use our power.
Yeah, the power.
The power to choose. We have to use our power because the choices are.
Yeah. Yeah.
To hold or not hold.
Yeah.
It's the choices are.
Yeah. That's right. Because remember, Claudius and Juliet taught us how important it is to hold.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was.
You know what I mean?
And going back to trust.
That's right.
Going back to
Going
trust.
back to trust. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Because you know, before they grabbed hold, they were sinking down to death.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then he said, take my hand. You understand? I mean, he's telling us now. He's telling us today, take my hand.
Yeah.
The question is, do we choose? Or maybe things haven't got so bad for us yet that we really want to take his hand. Maybe we're still in our stage of development where I can make an excuse at this moment not to take his hand. Maybe I'll fool myself and say, I'll do it tomorrow. Because you're going to go through all these things, all these mental challenges, all these thoughts. Remember, the thoughts are teeming thoughts, many thoughts that we entertain regularly on a daily basis. And the more we subject ourselves to the contaminated way of thinking, those are the more thoughts that we're going to have to deal with. That's what you're going to be entertaining most of. The low thoughts. And but why would I want to think low? Well, think about what you watch, what you listen to, what you expose yourself to,
What you like?
Come on, no. Because you're being bombarded. He tells you. They've seen 1,000 times. At a time. Yeah. Don't you think that can be overwhelming? Yeah. So you have to stay focused by holding the Come on.
I was with you when you come on holding hands.
Yeah.
I said, maybe I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
I don't need that hand yet.
Yeah.
You know, cause we're close to losing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Not my time. I don't need it yet. I'll get it later.
Mo, how many times have we found ourselves coming up in life saying, all right,
Yeah,
I'll take care.
that's right.
Disregarding the fact that we may need something. Come on.
They got to put more practice into being righteous. They got to put more practice to it.
We all do that.
Yeah.
No, maybe as far as taking a hand in the face of death.
Yeah.
Like when they were sick,
Yeah.
is one way to be more inclined to take the hand.
But look what he said. Look what he said. He said, forced to make change. We may not want to be forced.
Right.
We may want to do it willingly.
That's how we should.
That's how we should. Yeah. We shouldn't have to be dying to say, oh my Lord. Yeah. We should be practicing making the transition
Right. Yeah.
as we're developing.
There it is. Right there.
Not because I got to, but because I choose to.
That's it. Right there. That's it right there, Mo. Yeah.
Brother,
Practice.
He talks about apprehending the truth, not apprehending the truth before you. Yeah, and then when it's forced on us, we not offended at it. Yeah. So holding the thought, it allow us to apprehend the truth, to receive it openly.
Yeah.
And not doing so creates a tradition of something should have told me to go down and something told me don't do that. You know, we have thoughts like that. I'm learning that even my my reasoning, I call it reasoning, especially when I'm in error. I don't say excuse, but this is my reason.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
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 You know, as I think about it, makes me laugh. So this is the thoughts I entertain when I'm trying to make a point. Knowing I'm in error. I use words like reason instead of this my excuse. The excuse sound like it don't sound as good as reason.
Yeah. See, look, the excuse don't even sound good to you. You know what I mean? So you look for something else.
Right.
But for real, what you're looking for is still. That's how he tricks.
Yeah.
Come on.
And we tell ourselves that's the way I'm always.
You know.
That's dangerous.
But more, listen what that does.
You're not fit.
That's not only that, you're right. But that is the acceptance of their teaching.
That's right. We always been.
You know, one of the things about Claudius and Judas, not only had they walked with you, they believed his words. They heard his words of truth.
Yeah.
Like we are hearing the words of truth. Those of us that are listening in right here. And so what took place was they believed he was who he was. didn't have to wait till that crisis came where they were sinking down to death. So they heard his voice when he called for them to take their hand. So we can build up our trust by trusting in these divine instructions, which is the voice of the prophet. He's brought these and teaching it to us. So we can save, help to save ourselves or make our conditions better. And that is another form of holding thought. These are divine thoughts. Yes. We can hold them and we can benefit.
Yes, yes, it's perfect.
Can RJ just think I was gonna talk about all this? Praise God.
You still gonna say something if you want.
I would say, I was also thinking about, we always say, and we're people, we know it's wrong, but we say anyway, I'm just gonna do this one more time.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it wrong. I know it's wrong, but I'm just gonna do it one more time, and I'll do better next time.
Yeah.
And especially when you're around a lot of friends and you say, oh, they wanna go away, you're not supposed to go.
Yeah.
You say, well, I don't wanna be different, I don't wanna be different, I know this is wrong.
Yeah.
And you know it's wrong, you feel that it's wrong,
Yeah.
but you go that way anyway.
Yeah.
And then everything just falls apart because you say, yeah, I should have listened because here I am, knowing that it's wrong. And I went the other direction anyway, because I want to be part of the group.
Yeah.
But you gotta go with your own. You gotta go. You gotta know do what's right. You gotta listen to that still small voice.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
I'm thinking back what Bruce Jones Day said earlier about fear too.
Yeah.
Right? And overcoming that fear.
Yeah.
And stop letting the fear make excuses for our action.
Yeah.
Right? So that's something else I practice. Not that fear of the unknown, what's gonna happen if I do, and what's gonna happen if I don't, I had to get over that fear, and just trusting Allah that whichever way it goes, even if it goes wrong, it's a lesson that I need to go through.
Yeah.
So I can learn in the future not to do it again.
Yeah.
But I have to overcome that fear. And fear is a place to be part. And I think
Request.
Reasoning.
Yeah. But one of the things that one has, when he gets to a point that he has to make a choice when the crisis comes. A crisis in your life is coming. Yeah. And you must have a clear conception of the work that you've been called to do. Now, here comes choice making.
Okay.
Because a crisis is no more than a turning. This is the moment that I'm going to do whatever. And you're going to meet the crisis. You have to meet the crisis because you have to make a choice.
Yeah.
So if you haven't met it, you're going to meet it. Because you have to have a clear conception of the work you've been called to do. Come on,
And that's a good point, because that's why we practice.
yes.
See, sometimes while we're in here, we might not know where that crisis is at.
Right.
But it's there. We gotta meet it.
Yeah.
But as we practice, we're learning how to meet it.
That's
And
right.
what we also
That's
are
right.
doing,
That's right.
what we're also doing is something that you mentioned before, not today, but and it's important to bring it back up. We're building momentum.
Yeah.
It's going to be necessary to have momentum.
Yeah.
Because as you just talked about rushing in 1,000 at a time,
Yes.
you got to have a momentum in this.
Yeah.
So when they do rush in 1,000 at a time, you'll still be able to meet it.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the momentum, it may become overwhelming.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, you know what? The rushing in 1,000 at a time, it diverts your attention.
Yeah.
From what you need to focus on. Right. And that's what he's teaching us now. That's the lesson that he's showing us now. How not to become mesmerized.
Yeah.
By all these other things and neglect where it's coming from. Mm-hmm. We get the results from it, but we don't go to where it's coming from. That's it.
Yeah.
That ain't it. That's the illusion.
Yeah.
That's the reflex. See, that's what he's teaching us how to do. It says, man is the breath made flesh, so truth and falsehood are conjoined in him. And then they strive, and north goes down, and man is truth about it. And Lamont asked, what do you say of power? And Jesus said, it is a manifest, is a result. Power is a result. That's what power is. It's a result. It's a manifest. If it's a manifest, it's what? Illusion. Power is an illusion. It appears that I have the power, but that's only the appearance. You must have the force to direct it. Without the force, the power is no more. You got to understand, it ain't the power. It's the force that one has to be connected. Because the power is going to change. You appear to have it today, tomorrow it's going to change. But I need to be plugged in with the force. That's the source. That doesn't change. So what do? We labor for the acceptance of the force by submitting. Must submit. Yeah. It goes on to say, and Jesus said, again, Lamaz asked, what do you say of power? And Jesus said, it is a manifest, is the result of force. It is but noise. It is illusion, nothing more. So all that stuff we put on power, it ain't that. It says, force changes not, but power changes as the ethers change. As the ethers change, the power change. And what are the ethers? It's a medium by which thought travels. When them thoughts that's traveling through the ethers change, the power changes. When my thought shifts, it changes. You understand? Yeah. And that's what takes place in thought. Man is thought. And he thinks thoughts that create. He comes from thought. But he alienated himself from the one thought when he began to think for himself.
The word result.
Yes.
Jumps out. The
Yes.
result is from the thing.
Yes. Yes.
The result is from the thing.
Yes.
How we think is there's results from the way we think.
That's right.
That either we be connected with the force.
That's right.
Or we'll be connected with the illusion that we have.
That's right.
By the way we think. Because it's a result from the way we think.
When you think in harmony, when we think in oneness, it passes through all of us. Those who are prompted or are inspired, not because you inspire yourself, but because you are inspired from within. You find, and if you pay attention, you can see how it all connects. But you can also hear when one is not in harmony. There is turbulence.
Yeah.
There is an uncertainty. Where is this coming from? But then, that's when you must hear patience.
You know, I had a question.
Yeah.
And let me just say how I derived to this question. The question was, are all thoughts are from the Lord?
All?
Yeah. And the reason why I asked this question.
Right.
Since also things that are made,
Right.
they have a beginning.
Yeah.
Has an end, so that therefore there's the illusion. Okay. So
Go ahead.
those illusions, since they're not real,
Right.
I'm thinking that they're from the Lord. because they're not real. I mean, they delusional.
But
So-
then, but then if you take that theory, then you discount that man is true and false. So if thoughts are from the lower self, you must have some thoughts from the higher self. You have to. Other than that, how would it happen? Can't think evil entirely. So it can't be all from the lower self. That's just giving you something, not saying that I'm right and you're in error. I'm just giving you something to think about as you ponder that very deep question that you asked. It goes on to say, it says, and Lama asked, what do you say? And Jesus said, it is a manifest, is the result of force. It is but naught. It is illusion, nothing more. Force changes not, but power changes as the ethers change. Force, look what force is. Force is the will of Allah and is omnipotent. That's what force is. What is force?
The will
The will of Allah. It is what?
Omnipotent.
All.
all power.
Now think about it. You want to know what force is? Jesus just gave us the answer to what force is.
Yeah.
Force is the will of Allah.
Correct.
And then it says, and power is that will and manifest. Directed is another element by the breath. Now look what it says. So this can help us to understand between the manifestation from the force and the manifestation from man. It says, force is the will of Allah and is omnipotent. And power is that will and manifest. Now, the power that's manifested from the force is different than the power that's manifested from us.
Yeah. And that's what I made.
Yeah.
And we just asked Brother Martin to think about it.
Yeah.
And so you came right back and showed them that's how you're supposed to think about it.
Yeah.
If it's an illusion, if you say you have some stuff that become illusion, that's because that's the power from man.
Yeah.
If it has the force of Allah behind that power, it is not illusion.
It is a result.
Yeah.
And this, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, because that's made me think. Think about this. We think kindness. We manifest kindness. We think kindness. We manifest kindness. Kindness does not come from the Lord.
No.
It is a result of force.
Exactly.
And the force is the will of God.
Yeah.
There's a difference. We have to, what he's teaching us is to be able to distinguish the one from the other.
Yeah.
That's why we're in here discussing. So we can get a mental picture of what we're dealing with. That's why it's important that you must watch what you think.
So the Lord goes has no force.
The Lord said,
His power.
look, the Lord thoughts are illusions. They don't even exist.
Yeah.
It ain't but one thought. And and the power comes from the one thought. And that power is directed by the breath. The breath is holy.
That's the good that we talked about.
The power is the good in
The
us.
force is behind it is the good. Good is our power. When your
See?
will is the will of that force is being directed by the breath. That's how we manifest good.
The power, which is ours.
Yes.
The power to do good. Yeah. You see? See, as we start to, as things start to reveal themselves to us, we can go a little, we can extend our thoughts into divine instruction. We can extend our thoughts into divine instruction. Remember, there was a period of time we couldn't talk like this. We had not developed the skill by way of our practice to go beyond the limit of the pole that had been set. But you can only do this and go here or go there into the realm of limitless when you start to live your life accordingly. Now you can start to see the benefit in being uplifted. You got to see what it means to be uplifted, to be able to appreciate being uplifted.
Yeah.
Can't think that you just, I'm experiencing being uplifted because I can say I got a nationality. No, you have been, it has been made known to you that you have a nationality. But that in itself does not enlighten you. Your enlightenment comes when you start to go into what it means and you start to become it. You become it. See, when you become it, you start to know it, and you know all the facets that are attached to it. It's more than just saying, I'm a Moorish American.
That's right.
Oh, come on.
I call the desire and power.
Yeah.
And once there's pain, a degree of power, they have certain influences in the world over other individuals.
They have influence over the powerless.
Yeah. The illusion.
The illusion. And all those who cling to
Yes.
with threat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
That's it.
Who accept that teaching?
Ain't
That's
nothing
right.
wrong with nobody. That's illusion. You accept it.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. I got you. And Brother Mullendale after Brother Hearn.
Yes, I was just thinking what I'm learning, you have to reassess the way I look at time.
Yeah. All of
We have to reassess it because what we've been taught to believe, someone who's in a position is willing power. That's not the problem. See, we got to not think with the way we've been taught on this plane about power. When we've been taught on this plane about power, if someone has the ability to move people certain ways, they have power. But the problem is waking us up to what really is power. And we can't equate what we've learned in this on this plane about power and look at it the same way that what the prophet is talking about right now. Because we've been miseducated about power. So that's something that I'm looking at when as we talk. Because we don't really think the power that someone has, some physical power or some influence over someone, is really power, but it's not.
But you know what you've done? You've taken power and put it in the title.
Come on, man.
See, people think just because you have a title, you got power. And they'll do anything for the title.
Yeah.
But the power is not in the title. The power's in you.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're not using it right, you don't have nothing.
Yeah. That's all right.
Come on, Mark.
Back to nationality, and nationality means a great deal. And before when I first started beginning to understand the importance of nationality, when I thought about it is not important. I haven't known all these. What makes it important to me is why would they take it from us? That's what really raised my thought. I said, why are you trying to take that from us? Yeah. You know? Yeah. And some of us don't know. Right? But that's their mission. Yeah. Because if we don't know who we are, we're going to have a hard time. Yeah. With anything we do. Yeah. All social activity. Yeah. Public and private.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, back here, you remember he talks to us about this in the line of power. Then you will have the power to redeem your things.
Yeah.
See, all that, people stop by saying nationality identifies you with a certain nation of people. It does. But nationality opens the door to the power that you possess.
That's right, that's right.
Of course they want to take it. If I don't take it and they find out who they are,
Yes.
they gotta take it. The first thing you gotta take is the person's his background information. And then you gotta reshape it to your benefit. You know what he's doing? The private state of European is next to me and what's that? And science. He knows what he's doing. Come on, Mo. We don't have a foundation. That's what look. Nationality is the foundation of mankind. He takes the foundation away. Then he tells you you're something that you're not.
That's it.
And from that moment, we acting like that. He got to take the foundation. So I'm saying, as we regain the keys to our lost estate, it is building our foundation a solid foundation. Yeah. That's what we're doing. But look, here, it says, first is the will of Allah, and is omnipotent, and powers that will and manifest, directed by the breath. There is a power in the waves, a power in the waves of harmony. There's a power in the winds, a power in the waves, a power in the lightning, a power in the human arm, a power in the eye. You hear? The ethers cause these powers to be, and thought of Elohim, of angel, man, and other thinking things directs the force. When it has done its work, the power is performed. So you see, the power began, but the power must be directed by what? Force. And the force is what?
Allah.
The will of Allah.
Will of Allah.
Not ours.
Will of
Allah.
Amen.
Okay. Peace.
Peace.
Islam. I'd like to thank our Grand Sheikh and moderator, our brother, man, and friend, Brother R. Jones Bay, for coming forth and leading us in a very thought-provoking lesson for today.
Yes, it was.
And again, it is my hope, my sincere hope, that we got something from today's lesson that we can help make our way fair upon the earth and try it to do so and to share that with someone else to make their fair on earth. At this time, I call forth the Grand Governor of the District of Columbia, Brother H. Harris Bay, to read our divine warning. And while the warning is being read, please give the words your undivided attention, and please cease all movement.
Islam Morris.
Islam.
First, I give praise to Allah and honor to Prophet Noble Ali. I give honor to each and every one of you, and I give honor to everything Prophet Noble Ali has brought for the upliftment of all humanity. Prophet warns all Muslim governments, order to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speech while at work, in their homes, or on the street. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards to Europeans and causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, and freedom. And when these principles are violated, justice then must take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious spirits for the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive a reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law is laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their car, button, cease wearing their turban or fez, and return to the state for either prophet found. This is a holy and divine move founded by the prophet of duality. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet therefore is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting move founded by the prophet, do the will of Allah, to redeem his people from their sins by order of prophet noble duality. Peace.
Islam. That ends that portion of Sunday school. We'll now go into the business section. If there is anyone who would like to proclaim their nationality or rejoin, or raise your hand and the Mufti will assist you. If there is any
Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen.